The Encounter. In the quiet town of Elmswood, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, lived a man named Thomas Blackwood. Thomas was a historian, known for his extensive knowledge of local folklore and the occult. His fascination with the supernatural had led him to explore many forgotten corners of the world, but nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen. One evening, while sorting through old manuscripts in the town's library, Thomas stumbled upon a peculiar book. Bound in worn leather, the book had no title, but its pages were filled with cryptic symbols and ancient texts. Intrigued, Thomas took the book home, hoping to decipher its secrets. As he delved deeper into the manuscript, Thomas began to notice strange occurrences. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and whispers filled the air when he was alone. Despite the growing unease, his curiosity drove him forward. One night, as he was translating a particularly complex passage, the room suddenly grew cold, and the air thickened with an unseen presence. "Who's there?" Thomas called out, his voice trembling. A figure emerged from the darkness, cloaked in shadows. The figure's eyes glowed with an eerie red light, and its voice was a low, menacing growl. "I am the one you seek," the figure said, stepping closer. "I am the one you have summoned." Thomas's heart raced. He had heard tales of such encounters, but he had never imagined he would face one himself. The figure's presence was overwhelming, radiating an aura of malevolence. "Why have you come?" Thomas asked, trying to steady his voice. The figure laughed, a sound that sent chills down Thomas's spine. "You have invited me, Thomas Blackwood. You have opened the door to my world." Thomas realized the truth. In his quest for knowledge, he had inadvertently performed a ritual that had called forth this dark entity. Panic surged through him, but he knew he had to stay calm. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The figure's eyes narrowed. "I want your soul, of course. But first, I want to see how far you are willing to go for knowledge." Thomas felt a wave of despair wash over him. He had always believed that knowledge was power, but now he understood the true cost of such pursuits. The figure seemed to sense his internal struggle and pressed on. "Make a deal with me, Thomas," the figure said, its voice smooth and seductive. "In exchange for your soul, I will grant you the knowledge you seek. You will become the most learned man in all the world." Thomas's mind raced. The temptation was almost overwhelming, but he had heard the stories of those who had made deals with dark forces, and he knew the price was never worth the reward. "I will not make a deal with you," Thomas said, his voice firm. "I will not sell my soul for knowledge." The figure's eyes flared with anger. "You dare defy me? You have no idea what you're dealing with." Thomas stood his ground, drawing on every ounce of courage he had. "I know enough to know that you are evil. I will not give in to you." The figure let out a roar of fury, and the room shook violently. But Thomas remained steadfast, his resolve unwavering. In that moment, he realized that the true power lay not in knowledge, but in the strength of one's convictions. As the figure's rage subsided, it let out a cold, mocking laugh. "Very well, Thomas Blackwood. You have shown more strength than I anticipated. Perhaps you are not as easy to manipulate as I thought." With that, the figure vanished, leaving Thomas alone in the dimly lit room. He took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of relief and exhaustion. He knew that his encounter with the devil was far from over, but for now, He had stood his ground. In the days that followed, Thomas continued his research, but with a newfound caution. He knew that the line between knowledge and danger was thin, and he was determined to stay on the right side of it. His encounter with the devil had taught him a valuable lesson. Some secrets were better left unspoken, and some doors were better left unopened.